All right, just going to do a sound quality here. Yeah, we're good. We're good, man. We're good. I hope everyone's doing okay today. Might just do a short one today, just to hop on. Hope you guys are all having a great weekend. It's Sunday, 9:58 in the AM. I am in sunny Chicago. Let me know where you guys are watching from, man. I gotta clip this mic to me somehow. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm all clear and looking good for you guys. It's a good idea. This I can keep this here actually. Hey, look at that. Hey, look all right, doesn't it? Look at that. Oh yeah. It's a bit wonky though, isn't it, guys? Sorry about that. Yeah, no. It's a bit better, isn't it? We've got a fun day today, guys, aren't we? Again, I hope everyone's Sunday's doing all right. Hope you're all having a good time. I think I'm nice and clear. I'm just going to kind of attach that to here. Just hope my beard doesn't interrupt with the with the mic, you know. Anyway, I'm going to wait just a few more to see if anyone else wants to pop in. I'm still sound all right. If that's there, does it sound all right if it's there? Maybe I can put it here. How's that? That's all right, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. That'd be a read. So, anyway, guys, how are we all doing? If you couldn't tell by the title of the video, today we're going to talk on some topics about muscle building and weight loss. So that's the main criteria today. It's a topic, obviously, that I know quite a lot about, funny enough, amongst other things as well. But this is really a topic that doesn't really get delved deep into, in my opinion. Not enough, not in this kind of setting anyway. I think a lot of times we get quite confused, you know. We get a little bit confused and a little bit overwhelmed with like, what's what? How do we do what? There's so much information out there now, you know, in regards to just building muscle and losing weight, losing fat, all these different terms. And honestly, a lot of times, a lot of people who are making it difficult have an invested interest. So that's why I will start with, just by saying that. The ones who make it difficult are the ones who are normally got a product who you're trying to sell, which I get. You know, business is business, and there's some great programs out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disregarding anyone. I'm just saying, if you know, we've all got to make our money. We've all got to do what we got to do, right? Yeah. I thought I'd just make it a little bit different today, you know. Make sure you can see that all good. I'm going to shift over here a bit. Ooh. That's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah. That looks alright, doesn't it? I'm going to keep an eye on the time and how long we're going for here, if I can. Oh, man. All right, we're nearly at the 10-minute mark anyway, so. All right. Okay, I think I waited long enough. I want to see if anyone else was going to come and pop in and just be a part of this today. If not, you can always come back to this later, of course. It's just a live stream just to get the content out there. Either way. Yeah, let's get this show on the road then, guys. All right. Anyone putting too much muscle this year? Basic question. Anyone putting too much muscle on this year, shall I say? You know? Not a question that you ever get asked, right? Because everyone knows that it takes time to build muscle. So that's what I'm going to start with today, right? Okay? We'll start on the muscle building principles, okay? We know it takes time, but that's a question that we never get asked, right? Hey, did you put on too much muscle this year? Yeah, I put on way too much muscle. You're never going to hear that. Most people never put on enough, they feel, right? So let's get rid of this here. But, however, on the other end of the scale, what will you hear? Did I put on too much weight or too much fat this year? Yes. You're going to hear that from a lot of people, you know, so which is quite common, all right? Not saying it's wrong, all right? I'm just saying it's funny how we entertain things, what we talk about, right? We all know that building muscle is a slow process. We know that intellectually, but we don't actually sometimes know that physically, if that makes sense, right? So as much as we want results here and now, we want it yesterday, or at a minimum, we want it tomorrow, you know, okay? We need to understand, first off, when it comes to building muscle, it takes time, right? It takes time, takes a lot of your energy. But I promise you, if you're just a beginner or wherever you are now, I'm speaking to beginners because if they don't understand the impact, if you're already in the know with the gym, you understand how this feels. But this is the best investment you'll make in your life. Okay? Start training, start getting that physical strength. I mean, I'm not even talking about being a bodybuilder or a competitive bodybuilder. I'm not saying you have to be Mr. Olympia. I'm saying you need something, a daily driver that's going to make you physically fit and mentally fit. Okay? We tend to often disconnect between physical and mind, but we need to remember, guys, and I want you to always remember the fact that the matter of the fact is they're both linked. Okay? Healthy body is healthy mind. Okay? We've been taught for so many years that they're separate. And I don't know why, to be honest. Because once you understand that there's a correlation between your physical and your mind, I mean, you know, when you do something like physically strong, active, you go on a vigorous walk or a vigorous hike, or you even play sports like a vigorous tennis game or something like that. You know, when you feel after it, you feel accomplished, right? Even if you didn't even do that great. Yeah, sometimes we all want to win, right? You know, we all want to win, but like, you know, even then, like that challenge kind of pushed us. Do you know what I mean? So there's something inside of us biochemically that shifts when we make a move. Now, if you know what I'm talking about, and you've been on my previous videos and watched some of my content before, you'll understand that I do a lot about the mind and stuff. And specifically, today I'm going to talk about how we get in shape, how we can build muscle and lose weight. And again, I'm just going to start on the topic of like building muscles. For those who don't know me, okay, this is me. Just to give a little bit of a brief outline. Okay, so just to show that I have been there, I have done it. You probably can't really see that much there. Been there, done it, got in shape. I'm a natural bodybuilder. That was from my previous show that I did. Just so you know that I'm not just talking out my bum. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to just like physical fitness. I like to think anyway. You know, I'm quite proud of where I've reached physically and mentally, and I'm here now to share that information with you guys. So, all right. So when it comes to like, let's say if you're a beginner, you start training, you don't know where to start. I'm speaking to you guys right now. There's all this confusion between should I start with heavy weight? Should I just do higher reps? Should I do all these different things? Okay. I hate to be blunt and I hate to be simple, but the fact of the matter is, all you need to do is get your ass in the gym. Okay, if you're like going from nothing and then you start doing something, you're going to see results. Okay, So try not to worry about that right now, okay? You just want to get in the gym, get moving, even if it's to a case, because this is what happens, right? This is one of the reasons why most people don't follow through with stay with training. It's how they've chunked it in their minds, right? So they've chunked it in a way where it's like, okay, why don't you go train? Like, I'm like kind of like the why guy. Ash, why don't you just go do it? You know, why not? You get speaks to them. It's like, well, I haven't got the right clothes. I haven't got a gym membership. I'll have to drive around to find the right gym membership. Then I'm gonna have to find a right trainer. I haven't got the right shoes either. There's certain supplements that I haven't took, and there's all this stuff. And then I've got to get to the gym, and then I've got to go on the treadmill, and then I've got to wipe it down because someone sweated on it. Then I've got to go shower, put my sweaty clothes in the bag, and then go stamp my ticket at the guy. And he's going to miss it and have to come back in, and then have to drive home. Whereas it comes to eating food, it's get in your car, drive, sit down, eat. Going to the gym is 200 modalities. Going out eating's 2. So that's the difference. They've linked so much pain towards like going to the gym, or I think one of the problems is we see it as like we see gym, we link pain, obviously because there's a pain that's going to be associated with it. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of a good pain in a way because you're getting strength from it. But we think we have to train like Mr. Olympia to get the results when it's just not true at all. We don't have to absolutely go in there and absolutely go all the balls in, if you like, just go straight into it and just go absolutely nuts. No, it's not the case at all. It's not required. You don't have to do that. If you choose to do that, that's different, But it's. Don't get me wrong. You're gonna have to train hard, to get results. But it's like you don't have to train 7 days a week, full ball. That's just not true. So. But anyway, so let's say we're just gonna start. You want to start the gym. A lot of people are going to straight to because obviously they're covering the modalities of when it comes to like getting results. The first part is here's the things I want you to remember. Then here we go. So what I'm going to tell you is a lot of people are going to say diets first, the training, but all this other stuff. They're going to tell you different things, right? The fact of the matter is, wherever you start is good. Start's good. That's the key to remember there, right? Whatever you do, if you're starting, it's good. If you're making progress, it's good. Okay, but I think most people, what they try and do is they overwhelm themselves. This is why they stop going. If that makes sense, they kind of like they overwhelm themselves that much that it's just like, oh, you know what, this is too much, and they just stop going. So a lot of people will start to go, you know what, I'm just going to diet really hard, I'm going to train really hard, I'm just going to go full in, and then a couple of days in, a week in, 6 weeks in, they quit and they stop going. Because they are so exhausted and they've just completely overtrained their body to the max, So I tell people, as a rule of thumb, and again, take this for a rule of thumb, if you're just starting, let's say, or you're stuck, don't worry about the diet so much right now. I know it sounds a bit conflicting. What I'm saying is, if you're already at like let's say you're already eating so much food, let's say you're eating like, you're up to like 3,000 calories a day. I'll talk about more calories in a minute, right? What they are and stuff, right? You got 3,000 calories a day, and this is you don't lose weight, you don't gain weight. This is like you're stuck, okay? And you want to lose some weight, okay? Instantly, people want to go on a diet. Well, if you look at the first letters of diet, most people don't want to do that, okay? Too much pain there. It's too quick, too sudden. All I say to people is just get moving. Even if you're eating the same, okay? So at the end of the day, if you just start going training and it's not even that intense, you just start moving, you start going there, you do a little bit of cardio, and you just go to each machine and you do whatever, 3 sets, let's say, just give yourself a number, 3 sets, I'm going to do 3 sets of 10 on each one. You might do more, you might do less on each one, some might feel better, and just start a routine of going in, doing a bit of cardio to start, and then go around the machine, and then maybe a bit of cardio at the end, okay? Because what's going to happen is what people don't tell you, and what they realize is because they're going to overwhelm you, is that what's going to happen is you're going to create this threshold already. If you're going to eat the same, let's say you're eating this, then you've trained, you've moved, you're actually now down. Let's say you've burned a couple of hundred in there. Now you're down at like you burnt 300 calories, so now you're already in an energy deficit just by moving because you're not used to it. Just a little trick there to keep your mind satiated when you're going to the gym. Go, oh, what's the point? I need to change my diet as well. Eventually, guys, yeah, you can tap into that. Get that routine down first. Get that mastery of going down and pushing yourself, and just really get into like something you enjoy doing. Again, you don't want to do something you hate. Don't get me wrong. It's like, I'm not even saying go to the gym either. I tell people, if you do cardio, let's say, you want to just lose some pounds or whatever, find that sport that you used to enjoy, or find a sport that you enjoy doing. Just go, you know what, I'm going to take that up. It's much more fun. I always tell people, if you can do something more fun, go ahead, baby. It sucks being on a treadmill, like, just standing there, walking, yeah. But me personally, I actually like to be outside. I'll take being outside on a treadmill any day, But again, just remember this. I'm hoping you can see this. Can you see the board? Okay, yeah, you can see that sound. Just remember that, guys. And again, for the first month, just move. First couple of weeks, first month, move. It might be against what you've heard before. I'm telling you now, that's going to be more effective than anything. Again, once you establish that, then you can start to go, okay, what can I tape off? What can I taper off? What can I replace? We don't want to lose anything, especially when you're on a diet. Because if you really are dieting, that's why I always say the best way you can do is certain swaps, food swaps. So let's talk about, obviously, when it comes to building muscle, right? Let's say you're at a point now where you've been training for a couple of months or a couple of years. You're kind of like a intermediate with it all, and you've kind of hit a plateau, and you're kind of doing the high reps, the high volume approach, where you just come in the gym and you just do high reps on everything, okay? But there's no intensity, right? No intensity meaning you ain't taking anything to failure as such. So your body's going to adjust no matter how long it takes. It could be 6 weeks, 6 months, could be a couple of years. Let's say you'll respond from this style of training. Then you're going to reach a point where you're going to have to mix up a little bit, okay? So this is where, say, like the Arthur Jones, Mike Mensa, Dorian Yates methods come in, where it's high intensity stuff. I personally am a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of all styles of training. Because again, it's like whatever gets you in the gym, whatever gets you training is the most important thing, okay? But when it comes to like taking stuff to failure, let's say, what this entails is basically a more high intensity approach where you're doing less volume, more intensity, where you're taking, again, one set to true failure, okay? So let's say we're doing a chest press. What I mean by that, if you're not too sure, if you're on the bench, okay, you've got 3 sides to the movement. You've got the up bit, which is the positive side, okay? Which is the first part, which is the weakest side of the movement. Then you've got the static, which is the hold, which is the second strongest part. Then you've got the negative part. Okay? That's the 3 parts of an exercise. Positive, static, negative. Okay? So what happens is, as you'll notice probably if you've been training and you're quite experienced, you're going to come up to a point, the positive's going to fail first, right? You're going to get to a point where you can't lift that anymore. But, again, that's the weakest part of the movement. You'll notice you'll have much more in the reserves on the down. So once this side is, the idea is like taking stuff to failure is making sure all these parts are depleted. And that's it for 1 set. George, you go off 1 set because you can't do 0 sets. You start with 1. If you need to do 2, you can do 2 eventually. But I would start with 1 and see how you get on. Me personally, I only require 1 set because it's like, again, as long as I know I can just go all out. But bear in mind, guys, quickly to mention, you must warm up. Obviously, I'm not saying just go in and do 1 set failure. No. Don't take. I would do as many warm ups as you require, whether it's 2 sets, 3 sets, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever how many sets it takes for you to do that warm up. Mentally prepare, make sure everything's all warmed up. Like I say, you're moving okay. Then you would go for the 1 set, just to be super clear. Okay, don't go in there and just do 1 set to failure. That's asking for disaster. Okay, but again. The other problem is you're going to need a spotter with this. That's the only thing. You're going to need someone to spot you, but it's only for 1 set. And you don't have to do to failure to every exercise. You can choose 2 or 3. That's what I do. And then the last ones I kind of just go to a positive failure, then just kind of, if I go to a positive failure, I'm like, okay. And I try and push for another one. If I can't get another one, I'm like, okay, that's it. It's depleted. Okay, so it's still going to failure. It's just a positive failure. Okay, and that's still good enough. If that's all you can achieve, that's fine. That's all good. Just go for that. Okay. But again, once you've got that spotter and you want to be pushing for anywhere between 6 to maybe 12 to 15 reps, depending, because sometimes you might feel like this way you're doing progressive overload. You know what I mean? You're still gaining that overload, whether you're doing the same weight at 15 reps or heavier weight at 6 reps. Your muscle just knows failure. Okay, hope that makes sense a little bit. So again, you get that spotter, you do as many as you can on your own. Stick to the bench, everyone knows that. And as soon as you can't hold that anymore, you're going to get the spotter just to tap you up. Don't take the weight, just to tap it up. And you're going to hold it there a minute, and you're going to do a nice, slow couple of negatives. 2 or 3, and by that point, as soon as you can't hold it there anymore, that muscle's completely depleted, rack it, you're done, move on. Okay? So, that, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to train. But again, that's very taxing on the body. So this is where we got the split between the Mike Mentzer high-intensity route, let's say, or Dorian Yates methods, versus, say, the Arnold, which is the high reps, 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. So, my opinion is in between those is the answer for you. Some people are going to respond more to the high-intensity method rather than the volume method, okay? So how do we get around this? Here we go. I'm going to give you the answer now. The best trick ever. And a simple one, okay? Way we get around that is you do both. Okay? You do both. So here we have weight training, high intensity training, Mike Mentzer method. Then you got volume. Okay. So again, once you've established a pattern after everything, and you want to keep your training, keep getting results, this is the key, in my opinion, because there isn't one style of right training. But what we want to do is blend the both. Why not? I've not heard anyone say that. There's always arguments between, no, you must do this and you must do this. I got best results from doing both, because this is too taxing for too long. This is too underwhelming for too long. Right? So what you want to do is peak at each one. So you don't want to have to force yourself to back off, because eventually you can only do this style. Because as a natural bodybuilder, obviously you can push for this. That's the idea of, if you're not natural, let's say, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not natural, you can push for this, and you can hit the gym 6 days a week, because it involves recovery. That's what those special things do. You know, they enhance your recovery. So that's why the question is, like, well, how come these people can train so much? There's certain things that they can take where we know how, and I don't need to mention. We know what they are. Me personally, I don't care if you do it or not. The fact of the matter is, it's a personal choice. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. Okay, but again. If you do this, like the high intensity training for too long, you're going to completely fatigue yourself, and you're just going to be run down. And you're going to get to a point where you're just completely fatigued, and you will stop responding for that reason, because you're not training hard. Okay, so there's only so long we can do this for. Okay, and I find anything beyond anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, max, 8-week max. If you're doing 8 weeks, you're going to force yourself. You got to force yourself to pull away, because one, you're not training. You're just not training it in terms. There's no way. You can't do it. Okay, but I like to stick to maybe a 6 weeks of this, where I'm progressing. Okay, making sure I'm keeping an eye on my progress. So I'll do this start for 6 weeks, where I'm progressively trying to either increase the reps or increase the weight, or both. Okay, and I'm focusing on, again, going in the gym, doing either a 2 day on, 1 off, or 1 day on, 1 off, 1 day on, 1 off, whatever it takes. It doesn't matter what your split wants to be. Either do chest. My favorite routine usually consists of this when it's this style. Okay, so let's say the start of the week, Monday, I will do chest and biceps. I think that kind of works really well. Then the next day I'll do legs and abs, and I'll rest. I always rest after legs. Yep. So that Wednesday I'll rest. Thursday I'll come in. I'll do back and triceps, and then Friday I'll do shoulders just to finish off. Done. You fit every muscle group. Then I'll rest over the weekend. From that split, I used to really respond really well from that. And again, you can kind of adapt that a little bit. You could always come in, like you say, rest Saturday, start again Sunday, let's say, if you feel good. You just got to recognize your recovery, personally, because everyone's got different recovery rates, right? But anyway, I would force myself to stop at 6 weeks. Sometimes I will push an 8-week period. That's if I feel real strong, but it's very rare. But I will stick to 6 weeks and force myself to pull back so I don't. So I have fatigued myself before by pushing it too much. Okay, so I actually force myself to go, okay, we've made progress, step back, time to volume. Okay, volume. I'll do this from anywhere. Let's say, then I'll pull back. Then I'll go to the volume approach, where I'll just do high reps. I'll come in, I'll spin my wheels, I'll enjoy it again, just get some oxygen flowing, just don't do anything to failure and just literally pump up. Drop sets, supersets, that kind of thing. And again, just enjoy it. I like to call it taking the muscle I built for a test drive. This is like the endurance side of it. Again, usually, because again, it pulls back. Don't, like I say, because you're not going to failure, you can probably do a little bit more in the week, but I'll still stick to the same routine. That's the other thing people tell me. Okay, what changes exercise-wise? Nothing. The basics exercise are the best, So I could go through them with you if you want me to, guys. I can actually go through the best routine, but right now I want to stick to this. I want you to get a routine down. I want to get you out of that rut and just get you progressing again. Progressing again. That's why I'm doing this. Okay, progressing again, or just getting you started, because this is the stuff I wish I knew when I first started. Okay, and hopefully I can give my experience to you, so you don't have to go through that. You can get ahead of the curve. That's the whole reason I'm doing this. But yeah, this is the best split, because then you get best of both worlds. You can understand if you're in this for a while, say, okay, look, I'm only going to do this for a couple more weeks and I'm going to pull back. Versus this, it's like, okay, I'm really just like kind of taking my new muscle for a spin, or I'm priming myself. Okay. Then usually, if I do this for a while, I'll do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. And then after that, I will take a break, normally. If it's real intense, I'll let my body fully recover and I'll just do cardio for the week. Just do no weights. But it's kind of difficult sometimes, because you got a routine, you really enjoy it, you just want to be in the gym, and you start seeing them results. You're like, it's hard to pull back. I get it. I'm like, I just want to be in the gym, man. But I'm like, no. I know that if I pull back, I can really go intense again and start getting results again. Okay, so that's one of my. You can always tweak this. I mean, some people can only maybe manage 4 weeks, maybe 2. But whatever the fact of the matter is, you may respond like not so good on this, and then great on this, and then come back and be really great because you're not used to it. Okay. But yeah, that's the perfect split, because then, like I say, you get the best of both worlds. There's no argument there. There's no like, oh, this is better, this is better. They both have their value. Okay. So try not to overwhelm yourself with, oh, well, I didn't go heavier today, or I didn't. Let's say you're on a HIIT program, you didn't go so much heavier. You just want to do volume. It's fine. Again, it's just take that on the chin and go, okay, this is just one of that flat day. Say it was on like, okay, my back's not as good. I wasn't so strong today. Okay, you might need to adapt another recovery day. Add another one instead of 2 day on, 1 off. You might respond better for 1 day on, 2 off. You just got to play with your body a little bit. And I found that with like training people, that their recovery times are so unique per the individual. There's so many different factors. Just different things because obviously you could train your bicep, let's say, and you could probably train the bicep again the next day, maybe a couple of days. That's localized recovery. But systemically, because obviously you train, you're taking away from an energy source, so your body has to recover from that first. Okay, which brings me to my next topic. Okay, I hope that clears a little bit for you guys and sets a little bit of a good program for you to follow. Just again, I know it sounds so basic. Honestly, the basics sometimes is just the best way to go. But we just forget about that, the basics, Okay, so the other thing I want to, like I said, that's the topic that I was just to speak about now. I want to stay in this kind of flow state. I used to think, obviously, you train and then you build. And then that's it. You go back, train, build. But that's not really the case anymore. Okay? Because if you eat, so you can eat all the food you want, because everyone's like, yeah, well, I can get in shape just off diet alone. Yeah, there's only so far you'll go with that, though, unfortunately. The best combination, as we all know, if you don't know, is exercise and diet is the best combination ever. There's no way around that, them two together, because some days you're going to eat a little bit more, but you could probably go, okay, look, I've had a little bit more today, but I'm going to train later, so it's going to be good. Or the vice versa, okay, I've not trained today, but I can eat a little bit less. They both are tools, let's say. So they both work hand in hand, and they both could be used in your favor if you allow it, instead of it being like a pain for you. Make it a pleasure thing to go, okay, look, I've had that little bit, I've had that cake today, a little bit of a cake, but I'm going to go gym tomorrow, and that's going to be stored carbohydrate for the muscle to be, to train with. Yeah, it just becomes a little bit of a game, and then more enjoyable. There's no fun. Like, people ask me when I was going towards my competition, I was eating all sorts. You can ask, as long as it was within my threshold, I wasn't really holding back. Now, I was doing quite a lot of cardio, and obviously I was training quite a lot. But just to show you again, this is the shape that I got in last year. I'm not bragging or anything. I just want to make sure it's clear, guys, that I do know what I'm talking about. But yeah, at this stage, this when I was super lean, obviously for my contest, a natural bodybuilding contest, I was on around 400 grams of carbohydrates a day, and I still undershoot myself. So, because I wanted to come in super conditioned and super tight, as you could tell there that I had no fat on me whatsoever, and I was in great shape, and I dropped from, my heaviest was 210 pounds, and I dropped right down to about 175 stage lean. So yeah, and that was me even then. The run up to that last week, I was on 400 grams of carbohydrates plus. So again, okay. I just want to reiterate that for you guys, so you know that I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit. I don't want to seem like that guy who's like, yeah, what does he know? So I like to show that to people, because like, okay. Sorry, just taking a bit of water there. Okay. And again, I used to, go back on topic now. I used to think, okay, look, if I build if I train, then I'm going to build, right? And this is one of the problems that I fell into before I started to split my routine a little bit. I used to do the volume training all the time. I was 6 days a week, 1 day off. How I did that, I don't know. There was no intensity. I used to just go in, kind of go like as heavy as I could go. I didn't really push any weight, but I would just pump up. Don't get me wrong, I got great results for years with that style. Then I completely plateaued. I couldn't budge at all, nothing. I was just like, what's going on? I didn't understand different systems and that. So, but if you just eat tons of protein, going back onto the diet stuff, you eat tons of protein, are you going to gain results? No. We know what's required first, okay, guys, is the trigger for muscle gains. We need the trigger, which is the training. Okay? That's number one. Because until you start giving your muscles a reason to grow, they ain't going to grow, no matter how much protein or carbohydrates or fats you eat, or any calories that you eat. You need the trigger first. The trigger to activate the muscle, which is the training. Okay? So we could just put over here, like, the training, the exercise, the muscle building training, bench press, your deadlifts, your pull downs, your curls, all that. The trigger. Okay, that's the first thing. Number two, this is the one that I didn't really anticipate or do a lot of. You need to recover from that training now. You made an indent or the inroads that's required in order to build muscle. You've made that. Now you need to replenish what's been used. Okay? That's the second one. I did not allow for this. And the third, then for the third time, maybe, just maybe, you'll build. Maybe. If you get all this correct. This is the training, this is the diet, this is the rest. You got to have the response from the training. Okay, I made the response, now I need to go home and recover and eat sufficient food and calories in order to recover from that training session to build the muscle, replenish what's been used as well. Then you've built. And then again, you start to go again and build upon it. And this is the cycle. This is the muscle building cycle, guys. Remember this, stick to it, and you will gain results. Sounds super simple. I'm sorry to say that, but that's what it is. That's what it takes in short term. Trigger, the training, recovery, which is rest, food, sleep, making sure you have that efficient time until you go back again, and then you've built. Okay. So again, let's just talk. Now we know this. Let's talk about the build side. Okay. So Actually, I'll start this. Okay, so when we talk about, you probably heard about all the calories and being in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus to gain. Calorie deficit to lose, calorie surplus to lose. To gain. Okay, so what is a calorie? Okay, let's talk about this, the basics now. Okay, calorie. I think I spelled it right. Calories are, here we go, super simple, super quick, guys. Let's go. Okay, calories are basically the main. It's an energy. Okay, so when you hear them people talking about a calorie deficit or an calorie surplus, they're really talking about an energy deficit. Okay, this is a source of energy which is gained from three sources: carbs, protein, and fats. Okay? So there's no specific style of training as such. There's always burning one. This is like, you imagine like a hob, you got boiling water, they're always turning up and down. You're going between all three of these simultaneously, okay? So you're burning calories through these foods, basically, these groups. So when they talk about calories, they're really talking about these, okay? So you're either burning calories through these sources. Ideally, we do not want to be burning through our protein ever, unless it's for muscle preserve purposes. But on this topic, I want to just clear that you want to preserve as much protein as we can for recovery. So if you don't know, guys, weight training requires carbohydrates. Okay, there's two styles of training. So I ain't got enough room on here now. Let me just change this up a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit better. So let's just so calories are a form of carbs. You got protein. I'm gonna put it back on here because we do burn protein. Don't get me wrong. You will burn through protein if you're overtraining. Okay, calories are through them. So that when we talk about exercise, okay, you got aerobic style of training and anaerobic. So I'm just going to put A in AE. So we've got aerobic, A, anaerobic. So aerobic style is your cardio, your long distance kind of stuff, really low intense stuff, where you just slowly, like there's no intensity whatsoever. So this is, like I said, this is like, this requires oxygen, okay? Anaerobic is the presence without oxygen. So all weight training session, guys, when you are doing weights, is anaerobic, okay? And the main fuel source, very important, the main fuel source for anaerobic training, weight training, is carbohydrates. So the first thing you'll notice on a low carbohydrate diet is that you appear very flat. Your muscles have no size. You got no pump, no glycogen. Because again, carbohydrates are in the form of glucose in the body that are stored in the muscle and in the liver as glycogen, as fuel. It's the primary fuel source, and it's the direct fuel source your body wants to go to start. So if you're doing high intensity training, boom, your body goes, okay, carbohydrates are required. Okay. When these are depleted, you're going to tap into these too. And again, this is why certain supplements, and you'll see bodybuilders take stuff like BCAAs or EAAs when they're doing their cardio after weights, let's say, because they want to preserve as much muscle as they can. Once they've depleted the carbohydrates, they're like, okay, I don't want to burn through my muscle. That's a little trick you can do. If you're doing cardio after weights, you can take an amino acid supplement and you will burn the aminos, not your protein. Hopefully, that's the idea of it anyway. Just a little quick tip for you there, guys. Yeah. So again, so aerobic training requires, because it's not so intense. Your body is now calculating when you slowly warming up. It goes, okay, this is slow. I'm not required so much of a huge energy source right now. I'm not really required that. Although you will do some here, but then you're going to tap into sort of maybe your body fat. Okay. This is a rule of thumb, guys. But there's no question here. Like anaerobic training, use carbohydrates. That's just a science. That's fact. That's not Tom's way. That is a scientific fact that carbohydrates are required for muscle building. Okay, that's the fuel source that you need. And if you don't have these, by the way, which this is what low carbohydrate people say, is that, well, your protein, you're gonna get your body can create glucose from an amino acid called alanine, which is in the liver, and then it can make glucose, which is fine, and that's true. Because again, I don't want to overwhelm you too much, so I hope you're staying with me. Your body can make that, but this is the preferred energy source. And it is true, I will admit, that carbohydrates are not necessarily required for the human diet. You can survive without them. Okay, that's what they will tell you. You've probably heard that before. People who are like doing the keto or doing the low or no carbohydrate diet, is that they say, well, the carbohydrates are not required for the human physiology. True, it's very true. Just because they're not required, though, doesn't mean that they're going to be handy to have, especially if you want to put on muscle. If you try to put on some muscle without any carbohydrates and see how long you last. I mean, people, again, I will take that back because I do know some people actually who are pretty good with that and they will gain some good results off that. Again, if it works for you, it works for you. So some people are going to have to tap into more, say, they're super responders to carbohydrates, let's say, and they're like insulin sensitivity and stuff. It goes into all that kind of science, but you just got to monitor your level. Some people can respond great off, say, 150 to 200 grams. Some people respond better at 50 grams, the lower end, but some is still going to be good no matter what. Okay, but I can talk on the topic of what's best for that later on. But I just wanted to do the basics for you here. So the calories are in the form of these three things. You're burning them all the simultaneously. You're tapping into all of them at the same time, pretty much, give or take. This is required for anaerobic training because of the lack of oxygen. That's required for muscle building activities or weight training, shall we say. And the more slower paced kind of stuff, like going on walks and stuff that's not required, that doesn't have that intensity to it, will tap into your body fat. Okay, which is stored energy, which is calories, by the way. So your body, that's what body fat is. It's stored energy. So in like a bad environment, your body wants to preserve that level of body fat to go, okay, look, if we ever get into an extreme situation, we know we've got those reserves there. That's what body fat is. Okay, like I say, it's stored energy, it's stored calories. Little fact for you as well. That's why females will find it very the stubborn areas around the hips area. You'll find that a lot. They really struggle, and I can tell you why. The reason for that is because the next time someone asks you, know this. The reason that is because the female physiology or biochemistry of a female, obviously they're always prepping themselves for being pregnant. They're always allowing for that just because human nature, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say that. I wish you didn't have to deal with that, females. But the human physiology, specifically in females, likes to hold on to that in the presence of a baby coming at any time. It wants to, it recognizes that, like, okay, I could have a baby. So what it does, it stores the energy. Because the female anatomy understands that it takes around 80,000 calories. That's how much it takes to have a baby, 80,000 calories. So with that knowledge, the body knows this, so it stores it there. That's why, and it obviously wants to store it here because that's where the baby's going to be present the most, around this area and here, around the hips. That's where the presence is going to be. It's like, okay, if I'm going to have a baby, he's going to come on board, I'm going to need to protect this area. So there you go. Yeah, so the female body requires 80,000 calories to have a baby. So, and there's other key components to it, but that's the basis of it, you know. So if you're female, you can now tell that, and then you can understand why, you know, they will lose some weight, and then to a point where it's like, I just can't lose, it's stubborn. That's why. If you just keep doing what you're doing and keep adapting to your training and like lifestyle, that will eventually drop off. You know, you can use certain tools and stuff like that that's going to help you to get to where you want to be. Okay, so either way, if you're training and moving, you're doing amazing. Okay, don't be so harsh on yourself. You know, okay, give yourself that time. Be patient with yourself. Okay, so there's the calorie stuff covered. Okay, and I spoke about the trigger for muscle building, and I've given you a little bit of an outline of a good routine that you can do to stick to. That's super basic. That can be adjusted when required. You know, if you want to adjust certain things, you can do that. You don't have to stick to any sort of my sort of plan if you didn't want to. So let's talk a little bit about like weight loss. Okay, some of the myths. Let's just break through some of them. Okay, so I've tapped on a little bit of muscle building there. Let's do a little bit of weight loss now, or fat loss, let's say. Okay, so the idea, again, like I mentioned before, in order to gain muscle, you need to be a calorie surplus a little bit, not too much. If you want to lose weight, you got to be calorie deficit. So people go on these crazy diets where, and again, all diets will work. And people tell me, "What's the best diet, Tom? You know, what's the best one to stick to?" And I'm like, "Okay, look, a simple, basic thing. The best diet is the one that you're going to stick to. You know what I mean? If you know, because sometimes it's about saying, okay, look, I want to be able to lose this weight, and I'm like, okay, what are you willing to do that? And it's like, well, okay, I'm willing to train, I'm willing to cut these off, and I'm like, okay, you've told me all the things that you're willing to do. Now I'm like, okay, look, what are you willing not to do? What is like your absolute look? I'm not getting rid of this. I want this. I want whatever it be, like, either it be candy bar or chocolate bar or something, or these whatever it is. It's like, okay, look, this needs to stay because this is just going to help me mentally. It's going to prepare. I'm like, okay, look, keep it. We'll just put it into your put it into your lifestyle. We're going to put it into your training because not only is it no fun being on this super strict diet for so long, it also is kind of anticlimactic because again we want to do this and enjoy it at the same time. That's the question we want to be asking ourselves: how can I lose weight and enjoy it at the same time? That's the main thing. So the other thing, the only thing to keep in mind, people, is that if when you're losing weight, is as long as you're making sure your calories are under what you're consuming, you're pretty much fine. Okay, you're pretty much fine. And again, we're talking on the scale here, where people, this is the scale we're talking on. This is why not one shoe kind of fits all. Okay, we're talking on the scale here of like, okay, here's someone who's severely underweight. Okay, someone on this scale, and you're way right up here to someone who is like obese, barely can move. So depending on the scale where we're on this, guys. Okay, look, this is like, how can someone here do the same thing as someone here? They can't. The principle's the same, but again, I'm not trying to make this hard work, but what I'm saying is that this diet ain't going to work for this diet, and vice versa. This one's going to like not get anywhere. This one's going to gain too much, let's say. So we need to understand where you're at first. Because it's no good if you're here and I start giving you, okay, let's bunch a load of carbohydrates inside of you and start training. it's probably not going to be the best approach. Still might work. Same vice versa here. Let's take away all, let's take away all your carbohydrates and let's see how you get on. You see what I'm saying here? So again, we just need to understand where on the line you are currently at. Okay? And this can vary. And again, if you do have to cut some carbohydrates out your diet, guys, just to get to where you need to be, just remember it's not forever. Not forever. It's going to be to a point where you're going to lose all this weight. Then you might go, you know what, I want to build some muscle because I've lost some weight, but I've lost some muscle in the process. You're going to need some carbohydrates. But again, it's going to be controlled in a fashion where it's like, okay, this is going to be allowed. So I'm going to train either like tomorrow, and then it's going to be stored as glucose, as glycogen, like I said before, and it's going to be used to build the muscle. It's going to help. It's going to help my muscles contract. Because that's the key word. Carbohydrate is hydrate. Carbohydrate. Yeah, and it also has a muscle sparing or protein sparing. It's called. If you didn't know that, guys, carbohydrates spare your protein. You can look this up. Yeah, carbohydrates have muscle sparing properties. So if you ever wondered, you could type in, does carbohydrate preserve muscle? It'll come up with, they have muscle. That's why it's called protein sparing. That's what carbohydrates entail, which is the fun thing about that when, when gaining muscle and stuff. They do have a preserving benefit. So again, if we're on this scale, being severely underweight to severely overweight, if let's say we're just like somewhere here, we're just kind of like, okay, look, we're getting a little bit of weight. We're getting a little bit of weight, and we're like, oh, okay, I need to do something now because it's like I'm getting a little bit of out of shape, getting a bit of belly on me and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay. And let's say that we figure out your daily maintenance of calories is what. Let's go back to the, we go back to the 3,000 calories approach. Okay. So, and again, this is going to help because I'm talking about losing weight now. Okay, that's what I'm talking about specifically. We don't want to cut this too short because it's going to be, we don't want to cut it too quick. We don't want to drop to 3,000 to 2,000. Too much of a drop. Because one thing is going to happen is you're going to be starving, that type of training. So we only want to cut that, say, by about 200. Cut that about, say, 200, and then with the cardio and stuff, you may adapt another 100 or so plus. So now we're going to get to say no less. I would say don't drop any less to start than 2,700, just to start moving. Then eventually, when you hit a plateau, we can adapt that. We can change that. Okay. So out of those, normally this is the perfect scenario if you're incorporating weights as well. Yeah. If you're incorporating weights as well, I can get rid of this now. We know what we're doing there. Okay, so if we incorporate weights as well, what's the ratio? What we're doing? Okay, because obviously we're going to get the calories from carbs. Let's just do pro and then fats. Okay, what's the perfect ratio? Okay, good rule of thumb is this. If, like I say, you're on that scale, this one is recommended by all dietitians, or close to. Okay. We want 60% of your diet is going to come from carbohydrates, 30% from protein, and 10% from fats. Now, everyone's going to go, that seems like quite a lot of carbohydrates. Yeah, it is. Okay, but I'm a lifestyle muscle. I'm saying you're going weight training, say 3 or 4 times a week. But again, you may cycle your carbohydrates, certain things like that, or you might do some fasting, let's say, stuff that's still going to keep you burning fat and building at the same time. This is how you do it. This is it. This is the trick. This is the secrets, if you like. Because not every day you're going to require this. Some days you could swap this. You can say, okay, I'm going to do 60% protein, 30% of this. Or maybe a bit more fats, let's say. But this is like a rule of thumb. Don't take that as oh God, he's saying he's going to require this. But again, we assume carbohydrates. I'm talking about donuts, cakes, Mackies. I'm not talking about that kind of carbohydrates. I'm talking about the slow release, healthy carbohydrates. I'm talking about the brown rice, your sweet potatoes, your whole grains, your vegetables. They are carbohydrates also. Don't forget that. I'm talking about the healthy stuff. And before you know it, 60% is not hard to hit, especially when you include vegetables, which the carbohydrate is in the form of, fiber, which is different. But I allow that for carbohydrate still, even though it doesn't act as a carbohydrate in the body. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, hold on. I just need to press this really quick. Thank you. But again, I allow that for carbohydrates, so it seems like a lot. But realistically, it's not. Well, like I say, once you allow all them kind of things, but this is the good ratio for that. Now, if I'm on the other end of the scale, and again, what we're going to do, the only thing that changes, again, this stays the same. The only thing that changes is the total calorie. And eventually you're going to drop that to say you stop getting results, you shave another 200 off, but you still keep this ratio. Okay? So let's say you don't do weight, let's say you're going to do you're taking 2 days off, you're going to swap this ratio. So all we're doing now is just swapping. This is, like I say, this is the hobs that are constantly on, It's okay, I'm doing weights in tomorrow or the next day. You're going to want some carbohydrates beforehand, the night before, a couple of days before even. Because again, the body stores this as glycogen in the muscle to contract. That's what it is. Your body's going to store the glucose as glucose. Doesn't matter if the carbohydrates are in the form of a potato, a chocolate bar, sweets, candy. All carbohydrates have to turn to glucose once they go into the body. That's how in order for your body to use it. Okay? Excess will turn to fat. That's why we need to closely monitor this. And that's just what I will stick to as a rule of thumb. This is what I personally stick to all year, all the time, whether I'm losing weight or gaining weight. The only thing that changes is this. If I'm looking to gain, it'll be the opposite. Super simple. That's it. You can copy this. You can literally you can follow this and see how you get on. And again, if you're on the other end of the scale, you're gonna change this to this because you want to tap into more of your fat reserves first, just to get that bit of a spike. You may drastically cut this off just for now. Again, if you're just not doing weights at all, you may just get rid of this completely if you want. That's where the low carbohydrate does work. But most of that, people, what they won't tell you the first couple of weeks is you're not actually losing body fat. You're actually losing water. So you look leaner. That's facts, you know. So on the ketogenic diet works is because you're losing a lot of water. And through that, sometimes you're going to lose a lot of the muscle, which is why I don't like to cut out carbohydrates. I never have, I never will. I say I never will. But maybe I would if it came to health stuff. But again, I'm not talking about like cookies and all that kind of stuff, all the garbage carbohydrates. I'm talking about the healthy stuff that's going to be slowly released into the body so it doesn't spike your blood sugar too quick because they contain fiber, if you didn't know. Whole grain, that's why they promote that. Sort of the whole grain stuff, the boring stuff is the stuff that I actually prefer. It's the best stuff for you because the carbohydrates now contained in a fiber, a fibrous. So the fiber slowly releases into the body rather than hits the impact straight away. Okay? Would it help if I talk about the carbohydrates? Because protein is protein. You know the protein: chicken, eggs, fish, beef, low-fat Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, low-fat cheese, low-fat milk. You know the protein, right? Fats are pretty simple. Omega-3s, avocado oils, avocados, healthy cuts of beef. You know, the low-fat kind of like the pure. I like butter myself as well for the fats if I'm going to have any. I personally like peanut butter, the natural one. I know a lot of people probably argue that, but hey, got a little bit of a snack every now and then. But the carbs are where people confuse from. We know healthy fats, okay? It's not too hard to choose from. If you're using your cooking fats, super simple. 3 oils that I will choose from if you're looking to like lose weight and get healthier. Omega-3s, extra virgin olive oil because of the omega-3s. That's one. That's my go-to. Extra virgin one specifically. Avocado oil is the next one. Rich in that's it. That's one. I use that for more bake. If I'm going to bake, like baked chicken, I'll use the avocado oil because it has a high cook rate or high temperature rate. So it just means that the properties are preserved because at a high rate. Okay. If I'm going to fry anything which is rare, I'll use the olive oil. And the last one actually is coconut oil. Very rare I'll use that. I'll use the spray of that though. So if I'm gonna, maybe if I do ever feel like frying some eggs, I'll get like the spray coconut oil. And they're the only 3 I'll have. Fats. 101 done for you there. Again, protein is pretty simple, but the carbohydrates people are a bit consumed about. They're a bit confused about. But I hope this makes it aware. This needs to be in a deficit over your total. Okay, no matter what you do here. Because again, I want to reiterate that just to make a point, you can look this up as well. Okay, if I don't recommend this, but this makes the impact of actually why the calorie deficit is so important. If you could literally have this, say this is it, and you need to get to this to lose weight. 2,500 of your diet could be from pure sugar. Yeah. And you would still lose weight in theory. I'm not advocating this because that doesn't advocate a healthy lifestyle. That's, because you're going to be completely malnourished. But what I'm saying is, this is the most important thing. That would, in theory, you could eat nothing but Twinkies. At this ratio, as long as you don't go above this in pure Twinkies, and someone did this, you can look it up. Go to Google and type in the Twinkie diet for fat loss. There's a person who did it to prove a point. He says the importance of the deficit over what the value is. And I think his point was like to say, okay, look, I'm not saying that you should do this, but I'm saying this is the important thing to cover. So if you are going to snack every now and then, you're going to be okay. Let's say you have a slice of pizza, or you're going to have instead of the whole thing, you have an occasional candy bar. It's not going to hurt you as long as you stick into this rule of thumb. And it's not too hard to understand. You don't have to sit there and count your calories all the time. You can just sort of say, okay, look, I know this is this. And once you learn it, once you start moving through it, you understand, okay, this is this much, this is this much. Okay, I can allow for this because I'm still at this. And I'm going to train later on, that's going to shave off a few more. All about energy expenditure, again, because you can get it in the form of the diet and training. If you eat a little bit more and you can keep yourself committed, you can say, well, I'm going to train later. I'm not going to beat myself up because of that. And vice versa. It's like, okay, I ain't going to train, but I'm just going to eat a little bit less today. That's super rule of thumb. Let's talk about carbohydrates, guys. because again, we understand now that, okay, I think I've covered that enough and kept it super simple. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, that is key. Cut off carbohydrates if you do have too much body fat. If you're on the other end of the scale, flip that ratio just for until you've shaved off all the pounds that you wanted to. Then you might want to revert back to and just play with that number a little bit. But don't take that as absolute. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's like God's given staples. I'm saying that's a good rule of thumb, just to give a brief outline, a good ratio, average. Okay, and I'll start with that, and I'll taper that with people I train. Again, that's one that works for me good. I think sometimes I'll hire the carbohydrates. I just do, and especially if I'm like, okay, there's some really good sessions. But anyway, let's talk about carbohydrates. What time are we on? I have to wrap this up soon. I think I've blabbered on a little bit enough for one session. Okay, so carbohydrates are. I'm just going to put carbs at the top here so we know what we're talking about. Carbs. They are in two forms. They form a part of something called the glycemic index. So you've got a chart. You've got low GI, high GI. Glycemic index is GI. Okay. Low and high. Okay. So you load this, and it's all about how, because we all know consciously that candy bars and all these other things aren't good for us. Because what happens is, brief little bit of science. What happens is because it's there's no it's pretty much just pure sugar. They're all refined grains, basically just manufactured carbohydrates, and they hit the bloodstream too quick. They spike insulin too quick, which insulin is a storage hormone, and it promotes body fat. Basically, that doesn't mean they're all completely obsolete. Small amounts, again, that's what we're talking about. But when I was speaking about 60% of the carbohydrates, I was talking about this side. So the low GI, that's the good thing about this. So this, like I said, the difference is the low GI. When you're consuming these hit your bloodstream much slower. They are released much slowly, so you don't have that impact of insulin all of a sudden. That's how you can get away with eating. That's why you see people, how can you get away with that? It's like, well, most of the time, if they're smart with it and they know what they're doing, they know that the impact of this. And the only difference is, guys, is because the difference between these two, why it slowly hits it, is because most of the time the carbohydrates are contained in a fiber. So your low ones, it'd be stuff like your veggies, like I'm not gonna write them all out, but it's like your broccolis, your sort of your Brussels sprouts, your asparagus, all that cauliflower, all that kind of stuff is a carbohydrate, but you'll notice when you read the label that it contains fiber. And that's why they are slowly released, because it's the fiber that's contained in, so they're healthier for you. So it'll be other stuff as well. My go-to is kind of like, the sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes. Then you've got like, the brown rice. Then you've got like the wheat bread. If you're going to eat bread, I do personally, I like it. These are the kind of things, the whole grain stuff. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for stuff that's whole grain. If you're confused. These are the carbohydrates that I stick to. These are the ones that are going to give, again, these are the perfect scenario for me. And obviously on the other end, we know we've got you got white bread, you got candy bars, you got sweets, white rice, and so forth. The bad stuff as such. But the difference is the fiber it's contained in. Carbohydrates are either contained in this or this side. And again, a carbohydrate is a carbohydrate. It doesn't matter it's in the form of this. No matter whatever it is, either way, the simple rule of thumb is this, is that all this gets turned into glucose in the body, and then it gets stored as glycogen in the muscle. When the muscle is full of glycogen, the rest is stored in the liver. After that, you're going to spill over, and then it's going to be stored as body fat. Okay, when the reserves are full. So it's important if you're going to eat high carbohydrates, you need to weight train. No matter, there's no question. Because again, you want to be just a little bit careful because anything that's not used will be stored as body fat. Simple. Stick to majority of these, 60% this, you're good. A little bit of this every now and then. Okay, when does this come in handy versus this? If you're going to have something rubbish, let's say, something that's not good, and there's no question, like I mentioned before, what are you not willing to get rid of? This is where the game sort of changes now, because again, I can go, okay, what are you not willing to get rid of? Not willing to get rid of this. Okay, and I'm like, okay, play with me. Are you willing to have that though at this time? And then most people go, yeah, well, that's when I would prefer to have it. The best time to have this kind of stuff is after post weights. When you finish after training with weights, sometimes you want to replenish that carbohydrate. This is too slow to replenish sometimes. Although it's just as good, this is better because it's instant. I can say that's when it is good. After training. After training is when I'll have something really rubbish. Let's say if I'm having some French fries or something, or if I'm going to have some sweets and a candy bar. Post-workout's the best because you want to replenish the glycogen stores that you've used. It's actually going to work in your favor now. Versus where before we're just going to be stagnated and it wasn't going to do much other than just like sit there and not do anything and just get stored as body fat. Now it's like, okay, it's going to get used now. But majority still want this. And occasionally I will have this. Sometimes some people respond good to have it before training as well, the higher stuff. I've tried it myself. I don't like it. It makes me sluggish. I think it hits me too quick before a workout, and it just bloats me. And I just don't feel as good. Me, I don't like to kind of like eat anything at a minimum of 2 hours before training. Minimum. Because if I do anything again, I just get really fatigued, and it doesn't feel right. And I feel like I like to load up first. And again, I kind of like to train on empty. So most of it. That's just how I am. I like to have like a caffeinated beverage or a pre-workout before training, and just that kind of pushes me through my stored energy. So sometimes it's good just to push the barrier that way. But yes, either way, get off track. stick to these sources if you're gonna, if you're on the 60% line, and even if you are not, vegetables are always going to be good no matter what. But people forget that they are a carbohydrate, but they're a really good carbohydrate. They're like one of the best to have, vegetables, which is why you'll see a lot of people who do like low carbohydrate diets, they'll still do the protein with the vegetables because of the fiber that's contained in it doesn't release the same. They're cruciferous vegetables, specifically like broccoli and the cauliflower. So what other tips can I give? So some other good swaps. I mentioned before, just to kind of like maybe wrap stuff up for the day. I mentioned before we could do certain dietary swaps. Because again, what's the first 3 letters of diet? Die. Most people don't want to diet. So I say to people, okay, let's not get rid of stuff. Let's just let's swap things. So there is some certain tools out there, like, okay, say like bread is no question for you. You're having bread every day, no matter what. But you don't want the carbohydrate source. There is a keto bread. Okay? And I would show you, but I haven't got it out. But yeah, there's a bread that you can buy which is specifically for ketogenic diets. And it's really good because they contain pretty much 0 carbohydrates. If anything, it's like 1 gram, because most of it is made from fiber, which is going to be good for you anyway. So it's actually beneficial for you. Super low calorie. It's like 35 calories a slice of bread, 0 carbohydrates, and like 12 grams of fiber. Brilliant. That's a good swap you can do. If it's like non-negotiable, swap that for that. Okay. There's so many things you can do. And again, if this is like, okay, look, rice is like no question. So I'm even going to tell the person, okay, look, can we have it after training or before or kind of both? Just to, after weights. I mean, yeah, okay, I can do that. I can adapt to that. All right, cool. But if it's like, okay, look, I want it, but I don't want to have it. If that makes sense. Okay, the other thing you can have, if you want to still have that satiation of rice, look for riced cauliflower. Riced cauliflower is game changing. It comes in a freezer bag. You can literally put it in the microwave. It steams it in like 7 minutes, and you can sometimes. If I put some good spices with it, I get some good spices in there. I can't tell a difference sometimes. Rice cauliflower is game changing because again, it's like nothing. It's 20 calories per serving and literally like no carbohydrates, but it's in the like it's fiber. The carbohydrates are contained within the fiber, so perfect for you. That's another. There's all these little things you can swap, and once you understand these like swaps, again the game just changes. It's like, whoa, wow, wait a minute. It's like, golly, it's like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. So there is options for you guys. So just be patient with yourself. Yeah, it's difficult to get started. I know it's and it's difficult sometimes to stick to it. Life takes over. Things get in the way. We slip off sometimes. But as long as your training's still there, and you're being pretty good with your diet, and you can just cater to that eventually. Don't be so hard on yourself. We're all going to slip at times. We all do slip at times. Sometimes it's a good thing. You want to reward yourself for the stuff you are doing. As much as I do advocate a good diet and lifestyle, I also advocate a good well-being. What's it going to take? Like I always tell people, if I'm going to train someone, I'm like, okay, what are you willing to do when it's training? Okay, what are you willing not to do? I kind of get like this response, like, what am I willing not to do? What do you mean? I'm like, what are you willing not to do? Just be straight with me. Be honest with me. Just tell me, what are you not going to get rid of? So then later on, when you do it, you're not going to come and feel bad towards me. They go, oh, wow. Okay, that's a good point, because I'm probably going to slip, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're going to slip. Just tell me now. Just don't know, and we could just deal with it from there. And it's like, no, I know you're going to allow for that. Okay, well, I really like these. Okay, and I put them all down, everything that you like. And I'm like, okay, this when you're going to have this when you're going to have this. And it's like, okay, I can do that. That you work with yourself. Okay, there's no rule of thumb to this. There's certain principles that we've spoke about today that you can adapt now. Revert back to this. You can always revert back to this, like this video, and you can go over it again as much as you need. Okay, so don't forget that this is going to be there, and I'm going to do more of these. I'm going to be right there with you. You can always help. You can always message in the chat. I can see it. You can tell me, ask me any questions. I'm open to anything, and if I can help you in any way, I absolutely will. Okay. I wonder what I can probably carry on for a little bit longer, to be honest. What are we at? Oh, we're at the 80-minute mark. Wow. Oh, that went quick, didn't it? Hour and 20. I hope I'm not been too confusing for you guys. Okay, I'm going to say, I hope I haven't overwhelmed you too much. Especially like if you're beginners. I understand, it's scary. The other thing, again, it's like kind of like gym phobia, I suppose. It's like a lot of people are scared of going into the gym because it's like these fears that come into play, like, oh, what if this judge me? What if they think about this? What if I look an idiot? What if they think of this? I get that. I'll talk about a little bit about that. How about that? I totally get it. So a little bit about me, if you don't know. I can tell you a little bit of my story, I suppose. So a little bit about me. Like I started training when not properly, but when I started going to the gym when I was 18. I'm 33 now. Okay, but I was like, I was going to the gym and I was really skinny. So I was on like, to go back to the board, I was on this end of the scale. I was like extremely underweight. I was like 60 kilogram wet through, nothing on me. It was just completely skin and bones, if you like. I started going. I didn't really care about the muscle building side of it. I just wanted to go and keep fit. Yeah, I just wanted to go and I actually just wanted some really great abs. And once you get this, like you say to yourself, once I get that, I'll be happy. I'll be happy when I get there. And then you just understand that it's the progress. It's all about the progress you make. And I remember going myself, and I remember being like pretty scared. But it was on my 18th birthday. It was my first ever day in the gym, right? And I remember thinking, oh wait, it's my birthday though that day. I'm like, and I'm 18 now, and I'm allowed to drink. And I'm like, maybe I'll just not go. But I knew something. I don't know. Maybe it's something about me. But I knew something like came over me and went, no, you know what? If I can go on my 18th birthday, then it's like, why not? It's going to be for an hour or two, max. And I decided for whatever reason that I'm still going to go because somewhere in my mind I went, I can still go out later on as well. What am I talking about? I'm glad I did that. It like initiated a new rule for me, like, you know, and I went on my own because I was like, I kind of like train on my own anyway. And it's like, you know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be responsible, no one else. You know, I'm not going to rely on anyone else. It's going to be a venture for me. I'm not saying you have to do the same. I'm just giving you my insights. And then I got to a point where, you know, I was quite, you know, there was so many people in the gym that I wanted to question, and I was too scared. And I always remember that, you know, so I kind of want to be that beacon now for other people that are stuck, because that would have helped me loads back then and maybe save me some time. But I don't regret anything, of course, but I've learned everything I needed to. And I didn't really start taking things seriously until I was like 21, 22. That's when I really started to like, you know what, I'm going to build some muscle now. I'm going to take up the next notch, which leads me to now, you know. But it's all about just initiating that routine is the hardest part. The first month is the hardest part. Once you get past that first month barrier, it kind of becomes your part of you, who you are, because the results that you get, the feeling you get, you know, because again, you're people don't realize, you know, you're actually tapping into like your natural dopamine neurotransmitters when you change physically, which is why I'm such an advocate for it. Because if you're struggling with stuff like depression and stuff, anxiety and stuff, this is like a self-regulated kind of thing. It actually, say if you're on the higher end of anxiety or depression, it actually equals you out. You know, you go for a hard training session, it just kind of like, you walk out of there, you know, and it's like, you feel like there's something that's been accomplished today, even if it's just something minute, even if it's just a case of you turning up and doing a little bit, you're still going to feel good. There's certain topics I haven't spoken about today, actually, but yeah, gym focus, that's what I was talking about, sorry. Yeah, gym, so if you're scared about what people think about you, think about it this way. Whatever you're thinking, most people are thinking the same. I know that doesn't really help too much, but it's like, you got to remember, like, everyone's got that same fear, at least a little bit. Some people are just more confident with it. Some people just don't really show it as much. But they do have that fear of like, oh God, are they looking at me? Am I doing this right? Am I going to look a bit of an idiot? Think of it as this. Who cares what people are going to think about you, man? Just go in there and absolutely smash it. Like, I used to really care, you know, like sometimes when I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to make any noise. Now I'm just like, a gym's a place for growth. You're paying your membership. You're there to grow, right? So it's a case of just walking in the door, leaving all the rubbish throughout the day at the door, because there's enough negativity beyond the doors of the gym, you know? In my opinion, the gym's a good environment for progress, development. You're all there for the same reason. Like I say, you don't want to come in there and moan and stuff like that. No, use it then. Either leave it at the door, come in and just have a refresh, or we're going to channel it. We're going to channel it into something else. And that's one of the best things I like to do. It's like, if you're feeling something, one of the best things you can do is go channel that. And the gym is one of the best sources for it, you know. And I always talk about the gym, but of course, it's like, if you prefer a sport, let's say, go for it, man. You don't have to you go to gym at all if you didn't want to, but I recommend it just because it gives that little bit of versatile of like training and stuff with your sport. Do both, you know, build a little bit of muscle, you know, lose a bit of that weight, you know, or do both. Ideally, that's the ideal situation. So, yeah, either way, try not to let it take over you and demobilize you. And again, it's like, try not to analyze too much. Analyze your training, analyze your diet. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, the fact of the matter is you just want to get moving first. Then you can adjust everything like your diet accordingly. You know, you don't have to just like change everything all at once, although it feels like you need to. You know, you could just go in there and just go, you know what, I'm just going to train first. As I mentioned before, you're still creating that threshold that way, no matter what. In fact, I think it's better to do it that way around rather than just over diet. Better to move first. Better to move. It's a much easier and much more doable pattern to inherit first. But yes, take all that on board, you know, because it's the difference between what something's going to keep you stagnated and you making progress, and that's what it's all down to. Personal progress, you know. And me personally, I don't like. Again, some people like to track everything. They log the workout, they log this, log that. It's great if you can do that. It works for you. And I do log a lot of it and some of it, but I'm not so particular with it because there's a saying that it's very true. and I heard it once, and it's called paralysis by analysis, or analysis by paralysis, paralysis by analysis, and that is like very true. I got to a point where it's just like so like counting. I'm like, oh, this is not working, and then the other way was working anyway. Why change it? I was still getting results. Then that's that. I know when I walk into a gym last week or whatever, I thought, okay, I did this last week. I know the weight that I did. I either need to increase that weight or increase the reps at the same weight. That's the goal. That's it. As long as you stick to that, you'll gain. Simple little bit of a trick there for you. And again, with calories, once you understand a little bit, it's like, okay, this is like roughly about this and this. You can really taper it and go, okay, look, I'm going to allow for a little bit less because I'm not 200%. But that's how I do things. Not correct. I know, but I've got to. You remember that you got to a point where I've been doing this since I was like 18. Now I'm 33. I understand quite a lot what's in what now. It just takes a bit of that time, not too long. After a couple of years, I knew. I was like, okay, I know that a pack of rice has got this. A sweet potato contains this. This bag of chips contains 150 calories per 2 chips, or 2 crisps. It's like you start looking at things, and it starts making sense why it's so easy to put on weight quick. You look at the diet. And I hear it so many times where people before where they're like, I don't understand, I don't even eat anything. I eat nothing. Like I only eat like 2 times a day. And you look at what they eat and then them 2 times a day, it's like golly. They eat like 3,000 to 4,000 calories just within them 2 sittings. So they bump up to like 6,000 straight away. And I wonder why. And it's so confusing, I know, and it seems like hard work because it's like we're taking away that pleasure, But again, it's all about the tricks, a little bit of tricks. And if there was a secret, which there isn't, this is the secret. This is the method. These are the methods. This is what the professionals do. This is how they do it, give or take. There's certain biochemistry that you can't avoid. Like I say, a carbohydrate is always going to be in the form of a glucose eventually, because that's how your body needs to use it to store it, no matter the form. But we can control the rate it hits your system. That is manipulated by low GI carbs and stuff like that. So there's all these little factors to take into account. But yes, I'm thinking maybe I've hit a lot of the topic here today, guys, and maybe I should end it here. I don't want to go on too long. And I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your evening or day or wherever you are. But again, all to your progress, okay? You can always reach out to me as well because I do have my own coaching platform. I do have my own app. I've got certain things in motion right now. If you are interested in going into more detail than this and really being specific with your coaching with an app, personalized, you'll have 24-hour touch with me constantly every day. I do offer some great prices and stuff with coaching. So if you are interested, you can either DM me you can email me, you can DM me on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere, reach out to me and we'll get started and I'll talk you through the process. I only take on so many because it's so specific that I have to watch how many people I take on at a time. So yeah, like I say, I like to work with the individual. Really get results. So again, if you are interested, that is something you can do because I think what gives me an edge on a lot of the other people that are out there, let's say, I'm going to tell you what's going to get you the results. I'm just going to tell you exactly what's involved. And I don't just cover one aspect. I cover all the areas. I kind of like the one-stop Tom because I'm going to cover everything. I'll cover your training, your physical side of it. We're going to control your diet. We're going to control up here. This is what most people don't do. They don't control the mentality side of it, the emotional regulation, the person who you become from this. And I just want to really say really quick, I know you want the results now. I know you want to gain. We all want to get that achievement, okay? But sometimes you got to bear in mind, it's the person who you have to become in order to get that result. It's the journey. See it as that. It's not just the result. It's the person you have to become to get the result. You'll be amazed. Sometimes you think you want something, then years go on, you actually don't. You want something else. But it's that path that leads you to that. So again, enjoy the journey. But again, okay. But yeah, I cover the diet. I cover the physical side of it. I cover the emotional side of it. A lot of the communication stuff. Relationships, everything else. And most importantly, the other one is supplements as well. So we're in the process of getting our own supplements down, as well. So when you come to me, it's going to be all covered. Everything's covered. There's no confusion. You're not going to have to go to someone else. It's all going to be through me. So if you are interested, you can message me, like I say, and let's just get you where you need to be. Okay. Either way, I hope you have a great day, guys. I hope this helped, and I shall see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and rewatch this as much as you need to. Okay. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay. Take care. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. All right. So, all to your progress. Take care, guys.